Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far as we all still digest the chaos that has been these last 24 hours in the Call of Duty community. Scump has had a fair few things to say on the difficulty of breaking up with the old opTic Chicago roster and what exactly things might hold in the future. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Already up to the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, we get this, Arcitys comes out, live look at Atlanta FaZe this offseason. Nothing, just chilling, just having a good time while the rest of the things absolutely, everything goes to take L's elsewhere. Clayster says, it must be nice to win champs and not have to change your team. So many times that's happened to Clayster, it seems, where, champs has happened, and, then things kick off, of course, after Black Ops 4, when they won on United, that happened because franchising kicked into effect, and even last year, right after the Dallas Empire won the World Championship in 2020, things go to 4v4, and changes have to be made, and Clayster does indeed go elsewhere. Lots to talk about other players and what could be going on right here, so Mac Melt is kind of, hoping things will work out for him, and you've got also this from Bance and CleanX, I thought was particularly interesting because the rumour has it, right, that Bance, CleanX, and Bance, Cammy and Insight are re-signed to Toronto, but CleanX is not, and potentially could get some offers elsewhere. And who knows exactly what happens there. We're going to talk about Envoy here in a few minutes' time, who he could team up with. And CleanX, you can see in the replies, he's maybe not having the best time. Bance is kind of indicating they might be moving apart. Now, who knows what's bait and what's not at this point, but maybe Toronto still do stick together at the end of the day. But still, with all this chaos going on with some of the big rosters, you'd imagine this does filter down to some of the other rosters as well, and some of the other brands in terms of what they decide to do next year. We're probably looking at a very different landscape, where we most certainly are already with what we looked at earlier today. This also from TJHaLy, who technically was on the Los Angeles Thieves this season, although competing in challenges towards the end of it. Unrestricted free agent for the 2021 season, 2022 season, sorry. So TJ can go anywhere. Still a lack of top tier SMG talent in the league. So maybe TJ finds a spot somewhere, especially with some of the chaos that's going on right now. But maybe somewhat unlikely. Just to explain this real quick from Crone as well. So an unrestricted free agent, a player is free to go anywhere. Effectively, this is the case for Envoy, clearly the case for TJ as well. Pretty much what this means is that if you've been signed to a 1+1 deal, and now your 1+1 has expired effectively, the contract has expired, now you're an unrestricted free agent, you can go anywhere, there's no buyout involved. But if you're a restricted free agent, there's some sort of buyout involved that someone has to pay, but usually an arrangement can be come to, but still unrestricted free agent is somewhat easier for you to get, to go to pretty much any single team. So Formal came out with this yesterday, of course, as we looked at, retirement, stepping down from Call of Duty, pretty ridiculous stuff, and we'll look at it from Scump in a second, the fact that he was kind of we told Dylan, that being Envoy, and Matt, that being Formal, a couple of days ago now, that we weren't moving in that direction, and kind of Envoy's reaction was pretty nice, and I think even Scump was very surprised that Formal came out with this tweet longer tonight. I think he thought he was going to leave it a little bit longer, so Scump was even caught off guard by the fact that Formal came out with this yesterday, and certainly the community was caught off guard, to be honest. You kind of felt like maybe if Formal and Scump were ever going to split up, a retirement might be the thing to cause it, but I was kind of surprised to see it happen this year, and after the season they had. But maybe Formal was they decided to move a different direction with this chaotic opTic Dallas stuff that is going on, and then Formal kind of thought this might be a good time to step away without going to another team and dealing with the issues that does involve and stepping into the content stuff. This also incredible as Lineman puts together the Formal career card, an amazing career, hard to believe that he is done. So as you can see right here on the big screen, championship teams, winning championships with Envy, with opTic Gaming, with Luminosity Gaming, and also Chicago Huntsman last year. 71 per event, average placing of 4.5 or so. Series win-loss, a 70.6% win-loss is pretty incredible. 31 appearances as finals, 23 event wins. Best champs placements, of course, he won it in 2017. Average con champs KD is a 1.2. That is remarkable. Prize money won almost $1 million. So yeah, there it is from Formal. What a phenomenal career, no doubt. I'm sure we'll be seeing montages and tributes come out over the coming days to a legendary career he had in not just Halo, but also in Call of Duty as well. And many questions coming as to what that means for the rest of opTic, but also the players that were on opTic that are still competing, what it means for them. As Scump says right here, hate Rostermania every single year we're involved with. It absolutely sucks, but everything will make sense soon. He said this on stream as well. Envoy comes in the reply, all love, brother, all love. So it's kind of, it's good to see that there's no animosity between the two of them, right? And it kind of, it makes sense now looking at this whole Shotzzy, ILLey, Dashy, Scump, potential opTic Dallas team, why, Envoy probably found himself in a difficult spot here, and why maybe, they were kind of thinking about keeping him, but given the options that were on the table, Envoy, found himself out of the team. So good to see they departed on good terms, I suppose, and that's what Scump is going to go on to dive into here in just a couple of seconds. I'll share the clips for you guys, talking about, look, first of all, they kind of decided to drop Envoy and Formal just a couple of days ago, but also Envoy's response to the situation was fantastic, and probably one of the most difficult breakups of a team that Scump has ever had to deal with, because for the Dynasty, they already kind of hated each other and didn't get along particularly well and left on bad terms, whereas this time they leave on good terms, which makes things even more difficult to stomach.
Today is definitely a weird day. So last night before the stream, we told Dylan, you know, that we were going to be parting ways alongside Matt. Please don't ask me what the new roster is. Please don't ask me who we're picking up, because it ain't happening, yo. It's just not happening. So let's just get that clear right now. It's not happening. I know everyone is going to try their darn hardest to get some info out of me, but it's not happening. So, time of the year, bro. It's not fun. It's not fun for myself to make decisions alongside Hector and others. You know, it's not fun. It's not a fun time at all. It really does suck. So, you know, that's why I fucking hate it, bro. I really do. I hate this. This is my least favorite time of the year. I genuinely hate this time of the year. Right after the season's over, it's just boom. All the pros are trolling. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's doing this, doing that. They're all like having fun with Rostermania, and it's like, it sucks. But Dylan, a lot of people have been asking, like, is it in bad blood? Are you guys mad at each other? Nah, Dylan took it like as good as you possibly can. You know, Dylan is the man. This was probably one of the hardest like team breakups that I've had. No bullshit. Even like harder than the Dynasty, because we like left on bad terms. This one's been pretty tough. I mean, and actually props to Dylan as well. Another thing I want to say, or I couldn't speak higher of Dylan. I love that kid. But last night, obviously I broke the news to him last night, and he said, I'm not going to tweet out that I'm a free agent right now because you're streaming. So like that just shows like how professional Dylan is, and you know how much of the man he is. He wanted to tweet he was an FA last night after we told him at the Hex quarters, but he like held it in until this morning when I wasn't streaming or anything, because he knew obviously, you know, how bad it was gonna get with questions and drama and all that. So that's my guy. That's my guy right there. Definitely a tough one. And I don't want to talk so much about Matt retiring, because that is really his business, and that is for him.
So one of the big question marks to me is, where does Envoy go going forwards? There's a lot of teams I'm sure that could do with a very talented SMG player. He was pretty spectacular in Modern Warfare as well. He had a lot of great moments, Search and Destroy, especially on Chicago Huntsman it was that time, and of course a no-brainer. They decided to keep him into 4v4, even though you could argue his playstyle didn't work quite as well in 4v4 as it did in 5v5. So where could he potentially go? There's so many free agents right now on the market, but there's also plenty of teams that may be making moves. You're looking at a team like New York, you've got Claysty, you've got Hydra. What are they thinking in terms of their SMG line? Are they gonna ditch one or both of those players? What happens to Mac? What happens to Asim? Like, you know, honestly, so many questions right now. Could Envoy go to a team like Los Angeles Thieves? There's been talk over there. If you do get Octane, if you do get Kenny, if you're thinking about what you do for your SMG line, maybe Drazah stays as the entry man, maybe Envoy's there as well. Huke's obviously sitting there as well. Like, there's so many questions where Envoy goes. I'm sure he finds his way somewhere. There's also the CleanX question, right, for Toronto Ultra. Like, where does CleanX find himself? Like, it's really tough to say right now what happens going forward in some of these rosters. But maybe the OpTic Dallas situation is becoming increasingly clear, as at least we looked at yesterday. And well, Scump right here, it's my year. Pretty sure he confirmed on stream yesterday that like he's not going to be, well, he's going to be playing next year. There has still been some question marks, like could Formal retires, could Scump retire, whatever. But doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Like no brainer that Scump's going to continue playing after the fantastic end to the year that he had. And he also came out and said like, yeah, look, I'm looking to continue playing, and well, at least that's going to hopefully go well for them, right? Because I'd like to see this team compete with FaZe at the very least. That's what we want to see. FaZe were pretty dominant this year. It was rare that they would lose a series, very rare that they would lose a tournament, or at least not make a grand finals. Only happened once the entire season did FaZe not make a grand finals. That was at the stage 5 major where they came top 8. Then they bounced back and win the entire world championship. So obviously, like, you know, I'd like to see some teams compete with them. This OpTic Dallas rumored roster of Scump, ILLey, Dashy, and Shotzzy could potentially do so. And of course, Scump being a part of that roster as the kind of most veteran figure on that team is probably someone that's going to help them do that. And well, it's my year, he says right here, having a good time on the Modern Warfare Warfare, or no, well, Modern Warfare almost does look kind of like Modern Warfare. It's Call of Duty Vanguard, technically beta, run on the Modern Warfare engine. This comes out from Attach, gonna miss you, bro, at Standy. These guys love debate on the timeline, but I do wonder what happens here, because I can kind of see a world where Rokkr still stick, but at the end of the day, with all the other teams changing as they are, like, you know, should they consider some sort of move, right? Could Standy have gone elsewhere? I honestly thought as soon as Envoy got dropped that Standy could be the man into that team, but clearly it's even more chaotic than that. And of course, if you're Rokkr, you don't really want to get rid of Standy. He's your shining star for future seasons, and when Attached tweets out stuff like this, usually it's just straight up bait on the timeline. We get this as well, like, you know, reality is often disappointing from Standy. Intel, you know, the T is, well, hitting the timeline, no doubt. And, you know, Standy's been baiting about this now for a few days, to be honest. He's been talking about, he was like baiting about OpTic and stuff, and I was like, okay, if he's baiting about OpTic, then he's probably not going there, even though it maybe looked likely when Envoy got dropped off that team. Standy could be a good replacement in that kind of aggressive SMG role. I think Minnesota would do very well to keep onto him, but it would be kind of interesting if at the end of the offseason, pretty much every team has changed, with the exception of Atlanta FaZe, but also Minnesota Rokkr, right, who did win Stage 5 Major, but maybe still have some upgrading to do, you could argue, if they want to still be competing right at the top next year. But still, they have some good pieces to build around, no doubt. And just to finish off the video with this that Chrome points out yesterday, August 29th, that's when teams have to notify players if they're extending their contract by this date, and on September the 5th, of course August 29th is today, players cannot sign a new contract until this date, September the 5th. So no official announcements will come out until September the 5th, but and that's when the players have actually been signed, and therefore they can start announcing teams. But well, before then, I'm sure rumours are going to continue to come out over these coming days. Remarkable situation we find ourselves in. Very much intrigued to get your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.